What's going on, everybody? This is Ray Rawlins from the Ray Rawlins Network, and I'm joined here with Mr. Alex Pain. Today, we are reviewing a recently released SpongeBob episode called Gary and Spot. Let's jump right into it. Let's get Mr. Alex Pain's first thoughts of the episode after viewing it. What were your first thoughts? What were your initial thoughts?
My first thoughts were, what were my first? I don't know. Well, I'll say this. I thought it was gonna be a regular episode, which it wasn't. It was more of like I guess you could say it was more of like a themed episode because it had like that story time theme as opposed to just being like an ongoing episode in a way.
Right.
And I was curious to see how that would have went, but I think it was going pretty decent. I think when I was watching it, the scene with Patrick and Gary when they was fighting over the garbage and Gary
Oh, yeah.
scared the fuck out of Patrick is absolutely hilarious to me when he went
Right.
running off.
I
And
like that scene too. I like that scene too. But you know what? We're gonna talk about that a little later. But I can't tell you because I love SpongeBob. I fucking watch that shit. Have that shit on my TV at night, man. I kid you not. I love that shit. So that episode has popped up on Nicktoons Network at least 2 or 3 times, and I have the TV on just like background noise. I'm doing other shit, but listening to it, I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm not sure if I dig this episode, but I will tell you off gate after sitting down and watching it and whatnot, I liked it a lot more than I did going into it because I was like, oh wait, can it be that episode? I'm not a big fan of it when we decided we were gonna review it, but I'm like, I think it's all right. I think it's okay. But we're gonna get into final ratings and all that a little bit later. Why don't you break it down, give a little description of what the episode is? Tell everybody what it's about.
well, this episode I mean, it's a pretty simple concept, really. Sandy opens it up. Well, yeah, she opens it up with her just saying how she's going to tell the story of what Gary does at night. And what Gary does at night is go and hang out with Spot, Gary's best friend, apparently, who's Plankton's pet. And they just go out and do all types of nefarious things, trying to avoid the. What would you call that?
They're
Yeah, the
animal
animal
control. They
control.
call them
Yeah,
animal control.
yeah, trying to avoid animal control. And apparently, they're friends with all of the animals, including Patrick. So that's pretty much the gist of what the episode is. They have some troubles, like everybody gets caught from the animal control guy. Mr. Krabs fucks up the animal control guy at one point. But yeah, that's just then they had to break all the animals out. So that's pretty much the gist of the episode. It's pretty simple plot. It's a simple plot for the
Right.
episode, but I think it was done decently.
Now, one thing you forgot to mention is that the whole thing that ended up saving them all in the end, once they get locked up, they end up finding the animal patrol guy. I say patrol. I'm sorry, animal control guy. A wife, or if you want to call it whatever it is. They find him a life partner,
I
and
mean, let's be real. They just made him a sex doll out of slime.
oh, well, hey, it worked for him. It worked for him. He has somebody in his life he loves, and he decided just to let him out, which is cool. But let's talk about some of the moments of this episode. What do you like? What didn't you like about this episode?
Well, obviously, like I said earlier, the friggin' scene with when Gary scared Patrick away was absolutely hilarious to me.
That was one of my
Um,
favorites. That was definitely one of my favorites.
the, but I think the scene when Gary like morphed himself into SpongeBob was it was interesting but weird and funny, I
I
guess
thought
in
it
a
was.
way.
I thought.
Um,
I thought it was kind of hilarious because when you think about it, kids do some things to either mimic their parents. I can't tell you how many times my niece made her grandfather's face trying to mimic my dad, who she's around a lot. So when I saw that scene, I'm like, oh snap, he pulled a Maya. But I thought it was pretty hilarious. So because Gary's around SpongeBob a lot, he's gonna try to mimic him, make Krabby Patties and whatnot. So I thought that was pretty funny. I got a kick out of that. He did SpongeBob's laugh too, which I thought was hilarious. Um, you had any other ones?
I think Mr. Krabs fucked up the when Mr. Krabs fucked up the animal control guy. That was pretty funny
That was
to
that.
me.
Yeah, he thought he messed up his
Something.
restaurant. He put the boot bops on him. Mr. Krabs was not playing, man. Why you messing up my restaurant, man? Straight up.
There were some other things. There were some other things that made me laugh. I can't really think of what they were specifically right now. I think I really want to say something with the when Gary was breaking into the chum bucket,
Yeah, yeah,
but
I know exactly what
I'm
you're
not
talking about.
sure. But
When he tries to get Spot out, and he ends up running over Plankton with Spot because he's trying to calm him down and quiet him, and he just ends up smashing Plankton into the ground, and Plankton just stays sleeping. So I don't know how he did it, but hey, Plankton's a heavy sleeper, man. Sometimes I think I need his sleeping skills, but I'm not too sure, to be honest. The Patrick scene, because I think you got all the
but
you
I
put
like
down
I
all
said,
the
if I
ones. You picked all the ones that I like. The Patrick scene, Mr. Krabs beating up the animal control dude, and the Plankton scene. There was one more involving the animal control guy that I can't remember, but I thought it was pretty funny. I remember when they were having that big old party and that dude and he shut it down, and all the animals just ended up mauling this guy. So I'm like, hey, he messed up the party. Like if you had a party and whatnot, police show up, you gonna do your best to get up out of there. You was not gonna be there. But this control dude just straight up got taken down by all them animals, and he somehow ended up getting all of them, getting them in the back of the car, locking them up. And listen, that dude deserves a medal for real. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. But with all that being said, what are your final ratings? What will you rate this episode? What are your final thoughts?
I would say one of the best things about this episode is how he handled Patrick, how the episode handled Patrick, because I think they had
Really?
that good mix. Yeah, because I think they had that good mix of stupid but not idiot.
I don't
Like,
know,
like
man.
no, because think about it though, like old Patrick, in the scene when they brought him the meal and everything. Old Patrick would have just ate. I mean, not old Patrick. Current retarded Patrick would just eat the food and But um, I don't know. I think Patrick was. I think they dealt with Patrick's character good to his true character, where he's like simple but not really.
Right. I thought, and I'm surprised we didn't mention this a little earlier, but I'm surprised that Patrick. I can't say I'm surprised that Patrick was included in this episode because that's Patrick's gimmick. He's made to be the dummy in a sense. So it doesn't surprise me that he joins up with all the animals at night, as like he's an actual animal. It does not surprise me at all. And I do
Oh,
agree.
another thing I found funny was when they went to the animal control place and they showed all the animals working out like they in a prison.
Oh, oh
Yeah, that
man,
was funny to me.
I need to send my
But
dog there. Shit.
I give the episode. I think I'll give the episode a 7 out of 10 because I thought it was very enjoyable. The story probably was
I'm
pretty
kind of,
simple, but I think in general it was pretty enjoyable.
like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of it when I was, background listening to it on Nicktoons, but sitting down watching it fully and looking at how I wouldn't even say looking at how the character's being used. When I review shit, I watch it for what it is. Like that's SpongeBob, man. So I'm sitting back, I'm watching it as it's SpongeBob. Like I don't think often like, oh yeah, they're misusing this guy in this way. I'm a hardcore fan. I'm gonna love it regardless. So when I sat down and watched it, I immediately thought the episode was gonna be worse than what it was. Um, from hearing it in the background and not taking a huge liking to it. But it really surprised me, man. I enjoyed it. I had a couple good laughs out of it. And it felt like a good cartoon, man. You just sit back, just enjoy the material, have your couple laughs. Just relax. I liked it. I liked it. So I'm kind of right there with you. 6.5, 7 out of 10. I'll give it a 7, just like you did. I did enjoy it. It beat my expectations. It surprised me. Any other final thoughts?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, with all that being said, this is another SpongeBob review from Ray Rawlins and Alex Pain. We are on the Ray Rawlins Network. We do SpongeBob reviews Mondays and Fridays. And maybe he'll even come up on our Thursday podcast called The Getting Color Podcast. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And with all that being said, we will see you when we see ya. Peace.